it's not a proud day for this country. How could it be a proud day when a man who was not elected by the people becomes president of the United States? How does that happen?
Michael Moore just went full scorched earth on Donald Trump, and it was savage, live, on TV. No filters, no mercy, just a straight-up verbal demolition that left MAGAland rattled. Did Trump's spray tan survive the blast? Did that ego finally crack? And what did Trump do next? Rage tweet, sulk, or cook up another shady side hustle? Oh, you're gonna wanna see this. Because this takedown isn't just brutal, it's historic.
It's like they really believe that the average normal American wants to hear that. They actually believe that we don't like immigrants. We are immigrants. We are all the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of immigrants, unless you are African American or unless you're amongst the first peoples that were here. We are all the product of immigrants, and we love our grandparents and our great-grandparents and the people that got us here to this great country. And to talk about immigrants in this vicious, vile way.
Michael Moore just lived the dream, the one where you absolutely roast Donald Trump in front of the entire planet. No script, no censorship, just pure, unfiltered truth, hurled like a brick through a gold-plated window. Now sure, Trump getting called out on live TV is practically America's favorite sport at this point, but this was next-level carnage. It felt like watching a wrecking ball hit a building that was already crumbling from its own nonsense. Glorious, messy, and honestly, a little too easy.
Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good. For a day. Yeah, maybe a week. Possibly a month. And then, like the Brits, who wanted to send a message, so they voted to leave Europe, only to find out that if you vote to leave Europe, you actually have to leave Europe. And now they regret it.
Let's be real. When Michael Moore talks, the room shuts up and listens. The man's been calling political chaos like a fortune teller with Wi-Fi and a vendetta since before Twitter was even a thing. He's like a blue-collar Nostradamus, minus the robes, plus a ball cap and a lifelong grudge against bullshit. So when he aimed his righteous rage at Trump this time, yeah, you knew it wasn't going to be subtle. And spoiler alert, it wasn't just good. It was fire-breathing, mic-dropping, truth-bombing epic.
I don't think they really are in touch with where the majority of Americans are at. The majority of Americans do not want this divisiveness. They don't want a threat of violence. We are okay to disagree with each other, but that's where it is.
If you're enjoying this wild ride, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than Trump helps himself in a deposition. Now look, Trump's been called a lot of things. Business genius by Trump. Stable genius, also by Trump. A man whose hair looks like it's plotting an escape route by literally everyone else. But one thing he's never been called? Emotionally stable under fire. Dude takes criticism like a toddler hearing the word nap. Full meltdown. No chill. So when Michael Moore hit him with facts, logic, and the ultimate weapon, well-timed sarcasm, you could almost hear the phone unlocking. Thumbs warming up. The rage tweets brewing like a Diet Coke volcano.
He's a good man. Yeah. He's a good man. He's done a good job.
Moore didn't just roast Trump. He rolled out his failures like it was a late-night infomercial from hell. But wait, there's more. Oh, and yeah, there was so much more. He dragged everything from Trump's never-ending courtroom bingo to the mysterious vanishing act of his alleged billionaire empire. It was a buffet of bad decisions. And Trump, a guy who lives for buffets, unless they're serving subpoenas, was absolutely not ready for the Moore special. Let's start with the crown jewel of the chaos, Trump's so-called business empire, which, let's be honest, has the structural integrity of a Jenga tower in an earthquake. Casinos? Bankrupt. A fake university? Lawsuit city. Stakes? Flopped harder than a fish on a hot sidewalk. And let's pause right there. He failed at selling steaks. In America. That's like opening a taco stand during Cinco de Mayo and somehow going broke. The man was handed capitalism on a silver platter and managed to spill it all over himself.
I also think that Donald Trump is a big believer in capitalism and free enterprise and the sort of thing that's driven us into the ground, this belief that you could just do whatever you want and it doesn't matter who gets hurt by it. And I don't really see him changing, but I think he knows he's been on TV, you know? I mean, he's a performance artist. He knows what to say, and he knows how to make this appeal.
You think it's BS?
I think it's, well, please, I don't use that kind of language. Yeah.
And then, of course, there's his political career, which at this point is like a slow-motion car crash that just keeps getting worse. You'd think after losing an election, getting impeached twice, and inciting one of the most chaotic, embarrassing days in American history, January 6th, anyone with an ounce of self-awareness would just fade into political obscurity. But no, not Trump. Taking the hint? Not in his wheelhouse. If anything, the more America tells him, enough already, the more he believes the country is secretly begging for his return. Trump taking a hint is like watching his most diehard supporters try to survive an actual unbiased history class. It's just not happening. Why deal with reality when you can just rewrite history in real time? I mean, Trump's reality is more like an improv show where the audience can't quite tell if it's a comedy or a tragedy. But hey, as long as he's the star, that's all that matters, right?
He knows something. He knows how to manipulate a dumbed down population whose schools have been wrecked, whose media is just insipid and stupid and doesn't give people the facts about what's going on. So the public is easily manipulated by somebody like him, those who vote for him. He had record turnouts. He has the largest rallies. He supports a 21st century version of fascism, of marrying the state and capital together to benefit the few at the expense of the many, and in the process blame the...
Consider this. Most politicians, when faced with scandal, legal troubles, and overwhelming public rejection, take the opportunity to bow out gracefully, maybe write a self-serving memoir, and cash in on those sweet speaking gigs. But Trump? Oh no. Instead of exiting stage right like any rational person, he doubles down, declaring he's the victim of a massive conspiracy cooked up by everyone from the radical left to the deep state. And maybe, just maybe, the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. Okay, fine. Maybe not that last one, but let's give it time. And speaking of conspiracy theories, Trump has basically turned them into an art form. His entire political brand is built on grievances, alternative facts, and the belief that reality itself is negotiable. Lost an election? Blame fraud. Got impeached? Witch hunt. Get indicted? Political persecution. In Trump's world, losing is never his fault. It's always someone else rigging the system against him. His post-presidency behavior? It's basically proof he simply refuses to accept the one thing he hates most: irrelevance. And of course, let's not forget about those legal troubles, which are stacking up faster than his unpaid contractors. Multiple criminal indictments, civil lawsuits, and ongoing investigations. He's got more courtroom appearances lined up than he's got campaign stops. But does that stop him? Of course not. He wears those legal woes like a badge of honor, spinning them into another excuse to cry victim and keep fueling his supporters' outrage. This guy's so deep in his own delusional narrative, he probably thinks court dates are just a form of reality TV.
After me, Donald Trump outsmarted us all. And then there's a little throw up in everyone's mouth.
Yet, despite it all, Trump still has a shockingly strong grip on a portion of the country. No matter how many scandals pile up, no matter how many fact-checkers debunk his claims, no matter how many times he makes an absolute mockery of democracy, there's still a crowd hanging on to his every word. It's like a reality show that never ends, except this time. The stakes are real, and the consequences are terrifying. But the best part? The legal mess. Oh, the delicious, never-ending legal mess. At this point, Trump's lawsuits should have their own reality show, Law and Disorder, The Trump Chronicles. Michael Moore didn't hold back, calling out the absurdity of a man facing enough charges to fill a Cheesecake Factory menu, and still acting like it's all some elaborate deep state conspiracy. Because, of course, the justice system, one that has let Wall Street fraudsters and war criminals walk free, has suddenly decided, you know who we should go after? The guy with the spray tan and the expired coupon business tactics. Makes perfect sense, right? And let's talk about those lawsuits. Civil suits, criminal indictments, fraud cases. You name it, he's got it. His legal team probably has a group chat labeled Code Red at this point. Meanwhile, Trump continues ranting the courts are rigged, as if judges are just randomly picking names out of a hat and his keeps popping up. But let's get one thing straight. Nobody that's called consequences is just unlucky. You don't get to spend decades bending the rules, stiffing contractors, and playing fast and loose with campaign funds without it catching up to you eventually. Even in Monopoly, sometimes you end up in jail. And then there's his obsession with winning. Trump loves to talk about winning, but let's be real. His definition of winning is like his definition of tall. Just because he says it doesn't make it true. This is a guy who lost the popular vote twice, declared bankruptcy 6 times, and somehow made golfing look exhausting. He's like a reverse Midas. Everything he touches turns into a lawsuit.
You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
And there you have it. Michael Moore's epic takedown of Trump, from his endless legal woes to his delusions of grandeur. It's a reminder that no matter how hard he tries to rewrite history, the truth has a funny way of catching up. The fact that Trump still holds on to a solid base despite all this chaos is baffling, but also it's kind of like watching a slow-motion car crash that you just can't look away from. But what do you think? Is Trump's grip on his supporters really this unshakable? Or are we just watching the slow unraveling of a man who can't take responsibility for anything? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more of this fiery breakdown. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.